Welcome to the Roy Matlock Jr. Money and Business Hours, where he'll help you fix your finances once and for all. To reach Roy, call 615-843-2999. That is 615-843-2999, or visit RoyMatlockJr.com. Now, here's your host, Roy.
All right, Roy Matlock here, and if you are just tuning in, you might want to go to last week's show, and it's called Back to the Basics. We're moving into a new year, and we're going through the A to Z, really, of getting it together. We started with the defense, and I've always believed that, you got to have a great defense when it comes to your money. The first thing you want to think about is to make money. You got to be on the offense, and you got to take some risk, and you got to do things to move forward. But at the same time, you got to be disciplined to keep it, and that's what the second stage is. And so, we start out with a defense. We have an offense. We get educated. You have trusted advisors. That's what we do. We educate people. I mean, I have clients of mine that have been with me for many, many years, and, they talk to me. And the reason they talk to me is the same reason I talk to people about things that they know more than I do. Then that allows you to build your team of advisors, and it could be with your health, your wealth, your physical fitness, all the different things like that. And so I always tell people that you want to have that team. And so what we're going to do now is the stages of building out your game plan to automate financial independence. And the reason I say automate it is you don't want to wake up every month and think, okay, what should I be doing? Do I need to do this? Maybe I need to do this. You need to make it easy. And the easy way of doing it is we put together a GPS called a goal, a plan, a schedule. The GPS on your finances is, what's the number? And we come up with what we call our FIN, F-I-N, financial independence number. And it's very easy to calculate. You say to yourself, well, if I were to quit today, forget Social Security, that can be a bonus if you want to, or you can include it depending on where you're at in your life. And you say, if I were to quit today, how much would I need today? And on a regular annual basis. And when you're calculating that, keep in mind when you're accumulating money, part of your lifestyle is built in that you're saving money. And so therefore that's money that you won't be doing anymore because you're retired. And so you're not going to be have to make enough money to live on and save. You're just going to have enough to live. So you come up with that number. I don't know what it is. So let's just say you come up with, I need $50,000 a year. That's what I need. I need $4,000 a month that I can count on from now on. Multiply it by 20. You need 800. All right, so now you got 800. You got your plan. All right, so now that's the goal. And we start with a goal, and we say, when am I going to retire? Rule of thumb, 20 years from now you're going to retire. It needs to be double. All right, so now we're getting another plan. So now we say 20 times, 20 years, I got to double it. Got to double it again if you're 25 years old, got 40 years later, whatever it is. And you kind of get a rule of thumb on inflation. So now you got 20 years out to retirement. You say, I need $50,000 a year, do nothing money. That's 20 times that would be what? $1 million. All right. $1 million times 2 is $2 million. We now have a plan. All right. We know what we got to do. We got our goal in place. Need $2 million. How much do I have saved now? And you come up with that, and we run that out. We say, well, if we get 10%, it'll double every 7 years. So now what's going to happen? It doubles 7, 14, 21. So we do 1, 2, 4. Every $1 we have today will be $4. All right, in 20 years. We're starting to get this together. You take the $4 from you got $100,000 saved, and now I got $400,000 on what I got. For my $2 million I need, I got $1.6 million. I'm getting my numbers down. So we start with our numbers to get our financial independence number. So we're short about $1.6 million. We got 20 years to fix it. We take our trusty compound interest calculator. You can go to sec.gov calculator. That's an easy way of doing it. And say, if I put this much in at different interest rates, what am I going to end up with? But my goal is $1.6 million. We back that out. We say, all right, it's going to cost you $800 a month. All right, there or whatever it is. And then that's the number. If we get 9%, 10%, here's our number. So that's our goal. We know our goal. Now we have a plan in place. Now, how are we going to go do that? We had our schedule already. We know 20 years. So now we're moving in the right direction. So we automate it. How do we automate it? We set it up to where automatically it gets deducted out of our check for a 401k. It's deducted out of our bank account for an IRA, whatever it may be. It may be opportunity money, all these different things that the money will go to. So that's kind of bringing us up to speed. We begin with the defense. The defense is insurance. That's the best way to look at it. Emergency fund, not being in debt in such a way that it's bad debt. What is bad debt? You can't afford it. Number one. Number two, it's tied to something that goes down in value, so that's no good. And so what we want to do is we have good debt. Good debt is I can afford it, generally tied to something that goes up in value. So now we're moving in a good defensive position. We get all of our insurances in place. We've got our term life insurance to protect our income, maybe disability coverage if you don't have it through work. You've got, liability insurance. We've got the 3 to 6 months cash set aside for emergencies. We're building our defense, all right? A will and trust in place, financial power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney. If you have kids over age 18 that are out there, you need to give them a healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney, so they can get their decisions made. All these kind of things we're putting in place. All right. Once we get that done, we go on the offense. It begins with paying ourselves first. We automate it. How do you pay yourself first? Very similar to the way the mortgage company says. You got to pay it on the beginning of the month. All right. Well, you may decide that you're going to pay yourself first on the 15th of the month. Whenever you're going to pay yourself, or you're going to pay whatever it is, your paycheck, weekly. But the pay yourself first mindset is that you are going to every month consistently pay yourself. You're going to invest the profits from your work. All right. And by doing that, you will start moving forward. So we start that. We want to get a better rate of return on our money, compound interest. We understand that we don't want lazy money. We want money working hard for us. This is the kind of stuff we do. And when we meet with people, we help you get an automated plan of financial independence. Visit RoyMatlockJr.com. We got much more to come. Stick with me. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Roy Matlock Jr. Money and Business Hours, where he'll help you fix your finances once and for all. To reach Roy, call 615-843-2999. That is 615-843-2999, or visit RoyMatlockJr.com. Now, here's your host, Roy.
All right, back to the basics, and we are getting our new year in order when it comes to your money. I always talk to people about, if I meet with someone, the first thing I do is I find out where they're at. And generally speaking, if we were to do a phone call, or you were meeting with one of my advisors, the first thing we would do is say, hey, what's the goal? Why are you here? What do you want to get accomplished? And they would tell me something. It might be I inherited money, I got married, I had a new baby, I sold a house, changed jobs, well, whatever it may be. There's all these different reasons why people do it, because what I've learned is that when it comes to finances, it's usually something causes you to take action. Maybe something happened to a friend of yours, and you're like, man, I need to do something about that, or that kind of thing. I always ask people, do you have a will and trust? And they're like, no, but I need to get one. And so why haven't you done it? Well, I don't know a lawyer. It's too much, or the cost, or I'm just procrastinating. It bothers me because I got little kids, or stuff like that, or I'm getting older, and I can go on and on about all the different reasons that people do things. And so when we meet with someone, the initial phone call or initial meet starts with, what's the goal? What brought you here? Why did you take the time to do something like this? Why are you wanting to meet with a financial advisor? And they've got all these reasons. All right, and then once we get that we do step number one is we do an assessment of what you've done in your life up to the point of today. So if you were to show up in my office, we'd find out where you're at. Hey, what do you owe? Do you have a house? Yeah, if you sold it today, what would you sell it for? This would be the way you would prepare if you meet with someone like me. And if you had a house, what's it worth? 500. What do you owe? Oh, 100. What's your rate? Good. Is it good rate? Yeah. Okay, great. Low rates. I'm going to tell you probably not to try to pay it off. Just drag it out as long as you can when you got a 3% loan or whatever. And what about emergency funds? Yeah. What do you got? Where's it at? That kind of deal. Let's talk about retirement plans that you're at work. Are you currently contributing? How much you putting in? Do you have any previous retirement plans? So we're going through all this, and we come up with a picture. Here's the picture: what kind of insurance you have. If you were to die today, how much life insurance you have. Do you have any other plans? How much are you earning? Do you expect to receive a pension or an inheritance? Do you have any other debt? I mean, it's just like boom, 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 boom. And I do that, and then I'm like, all right, here's what I'm seeing right now. You're making $120,000 a year, and you're putting in 6% into your 401k. You're over 50. Did you realize you could put over $30,000 in and get a tax deduction right off the bat? No, I didn't think about that. I was just doing the matching. Well, if you put that 30,000 in, you're going to save 25% on that, maybe 20%, and that's 5,000 or 6,000, and you just got a free Roth IRA. All right, you bought one and got one free. Wow, never thought about that. So we did do a deductible, and we throw the rest in. Or maybe I make too much money, and we'll just do a backdoor Roth, and we'll get that money in there. So now you got some tax-free money, tax-deductible money, and you're like, all right, that's something I didn't realize. Or maybe you're underinsured, or who knows? I mean, it's just a lot of different things. And you can still do your retirement plans up to April 15th. And if you're self-employed, you can do them all the way up to October 15th if you file your extensions. And so I have people many times that are self-employed. Maybe they're independent contractors. Maybe you're a realtor, or you don't have any employees. You're just doing your thing, and you do what's called a self-employed pension, or a simplified employee pension plan, SEP. And you go make the money this year because you don't have the ability to fully fund it yet. And you go make it this year, and you put it in for last year. And if you file your extensions, you can do it all the way to October 15th. So it's just a lot of things. So advice. Step number one, when you meet with someone, it's advice. All right? Advice and education. So we do things to try to keep you educated. That way, when we give advice, you'll say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I understand because I did this. I had a client come in one time, and he retired, and he showed up, and I said, hey, before we get started, give me an idea of your level of expertise when it comes to money. I mean, do I need to make it, what level? He says, man, before I came in here, I didn't want to feel stupid. And he said, I listened to all 170 of your podcasts. And I'm like, I like you already, man. I mean, this is good. All right. And so anyhow, he came in, and so that was good. Now, I'm not recommending you got to listen to 170 podcasts, okay? But he was serious about getting his finances straight, and he said he wanted to know what's going on. And these, it's funny, Ruben, it's always true stories, by the way. All right. And my producer back there, he's like, did that really happen? I'm like, man, I meet with people every week. It's always something. All right. And that's the cool part about being able to talk about this is I don't have to have that long of a memory because I had an appointment yesterday that I met with someone, and I still do that and train our guys and stuff like that. So anyway, so now we're back to, so we got advice. So we find out where you're at, the sum total of your world of finance. You have done this, and if you show up and you tell me, here's where I'm at, and I'm like, okay, let's get fixed. Let's figure out what we got to do. We got to make some changes here. You agree with me? That's why you're here. You got debt. You don't have any money saved. You got a bunch of stuff. All right, we can fix that. All right, generally it takes you longer to get deep in debt than it does to get out. And the reason is that, you just slowly spend too much. little bit too much every month. And then one day you wake up and you're like, holy gosh, I got $10,000 of credit card debt. I got a car I'm upside down on, and I don't have any money saved. All right. I had another story. One of my guys early on, and he was a part-timer. And so I bring in a lot of licensed referral partners, which if you have ever thought about, really getting the inside and maybe making a little extra money, you can be one of our licensed referral partners. And you can visit roymatlockjr.com to find out about that. And this guy was one of those guys that had another job and he wanted to learn about finance, got his licenses and started referring business. But he came around and been doing it for a number of years and decided that he wanted to just go full time in the financial business. And he came in and I sat down with him and his wife and I told him, I said, the first thing I always did, I said, if you're going to be in the financial business, you have to have your finances fixed, all right, if you're going to be full-time. You can't come in here a disaster to start with. Well, he shows up and he's got credit cards, car payments, all this kind of stuff. He's got $50 a month going into a retirement plan, that kind of deal. I'm like, dude, you're broke. I mean, you've been around here. What's going on? And but he did have some equity in his house, and I told him, I said, well, if you really want to do this, here's what you need to do. You need to sell those cars. You need to sell your house, and usually that's the end all. You tell the wife that, hey, you need to sell your house and go rent. Take the equity out of your house, sell those 2 cars, buy 2 cheap cars, and then once you buy those 2 cheap cars, pay cash, of course, and get yourself an emergency fund. And you can do this. And he comes back about 2 weeks later and said, we're going to sell our house. We're doing it. All right. So they do it. And the rest of the story was he bought a car. Now get this, guys. This is a long time ago. He bought a car and he paid $750 for it. He sold his 2-year-old car that was upside down, bought a $750 car. He went to Hickory Hollow Mall, which is a mall out here in Nashville. And in the parking lot, while he was inside the mall, somebody backed into the side of his car. They put a note on there. He went in and got an estimate. And he got $1,250 for the estimate. All right. So he had this cheap car. 2 years later, he had $100,000 in cash saved because he got his finance. He went and decided to fix it. So he got his income up, his outgo down. And before we know it, had a big gap. And it was 2 years later. 2 years later from being $50 a month in car payments and credit cards. And then eventually, guess what? When they had the house, they were able to go buy a house and do it the right way rather than getting, so advice and education is a starting point on where you go. Then we start building our offense. So we get our defense in place. We go on the offense, and that's pay yourself first, magic of compound interest, time, diversification, and we're starting to move in the right direction. So this is what we do. We help people get their finances fixed. And you should visit roymatlockjr.com. We have upcoming webinars. You can jump in, podcast, all different types of things. I will be back in just a moment.
Welcome to the Roy Matlock Jr. Money and Business Hours, where he'll help you fix your finances once and for all. To reach Roy, call 615-843-2999. That is 615-843-2999, or visit roymatlockjr.com. Now, here's your host, Roy.
All right. If you are just tuning in right now, I would encourage you to visit roymatlockjr.com. Check out the podcast, the Roy Matlock Jr. Money and Business Hour. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. It's on all that kind of stuff. And we're running into kind of the kickoff of the new year called Back to the Basics, where we go in and really just say, let's take a look at where we're at. We want to create an income gap between our income and expenses. Go in and get on a plan to where you say, I got my plan in place. Anybody asks, how you doing on your finance? Man, I got my plan in place. It's all set up, and every month it just rolls. I've got 15% of my income going toward my plan. 5% of it's my defense. The other 10% is my offense. If you start telling somebody like that, you could go, say, how's your finance? Oh, man, I got my plans all set up. I got 10%, 15% going toward my plan. I got 5% of my defense, 10% of my offense. Got my GPS in place. I know my FIN number. And they're going to sit there and say, what have you been taking? Well, what's wrong with you? All right. And because most people, when they retire, it's pure luck where they end up. And most of the time, they are in trouble. And I can't tell you how many people that come to me and they're 60 years old and they've got nothing set aside, and their life ahead is that of Social Security at $2,600 a month, and they're married, they lose one of them, and they only have $1,700 a month or something like that. And they come to me, and I'm like, dude, we got to get you going, all right? And so that's what we try to do, is get you on track. So if something happens and you're retired, or you're nearing retirement, that you're able to say, it's okay. You had this conversation with me and say, you won, dude. Don't worry about it. You're okay. You're going to be fine. All right. You did the job. You saved your money. You invested your money. So what we do is we automate financial independence. And wouldn't it be nice to think that? You say, man, I got my defense, got my offense. Okay. I'm good. Here's my FIN number. Here's my GPS. This is what I'm doing. And got it all diversified. So then once we do the defense, the offense, we then do a product selection where we go out to the marketplace and we find the very best of breed when it comes to investments and insurance and, things like that. And now we got the products in place. Then a review on every 6 months to a year, depending on how I engage, or maybe a phone call. And we just look at it and say, yeah, let's adjust this. You got any more money? Yeah, let's do that. I met with one of my good clients a couple days ago, and he retired. And it's like, I always like to talk to people when they're getting ready to. They always when as soon as your paycheck stops, you're like, hang on a second here. They start worrying. I said, look, here's your number. This is how much you can draw forever. You're okay. All right. And I had that conversation with him. And so anyway, so now what we're doing is we're moving down the path, all right, of getting our finances automated. So how do you automate? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at paying ourselves first. That is an automatic draft out of your checking account to your retirement plans. That's one way. Or both, and an automatic deduction out of your paycheck into your company-sponsored plan. So that is pay yourself first. We then look at where the investments are, and we have everything from the most conservative money market account all the way out to a growth fund. And we're going to look at your time horizon, and we're going to see what we can do to maximize the return without taking too much risk. We then consistently do this, called time and consistency. We diversify our investments across different types of things. Maybe it's some small company, some mid-sized company, some international, some large, companies, whatever it may be, maybe some bonds. And that, again, goes back to your situation. If you're younger, generally speaking, you're going to be more aggressive. If you're older, you'd be less aggressive. Another way that the retirement accounts through your work they put in place, this happened years ago after it's called ERISA, Enron, and all these people were losing all their money in their retirement plan because they had a company stock and the companies were pushing it. And they came out with basically this ERISA, and what it said is that if the companies don't give you proper education on your retirement account, you can sue the company. And all these companies are, oh, hold on a second. The investment firms came out and they said, we're going to get an ERISA type plan. What is that? It's called a target date or a lifestyle. So if you're out there right now and you're saying, I have no idea what I need to do on my 401k options, then they put in place something called a target date. You take your age and you add, or your birth year, that is, and you add 65 to it, and that's going to give you a target date. So if you were born in 1990, all right, and you add 65 to 1990, that will be a 2055, right? Yeah, 2055 plan. That 2055 plan is a landing target that you will retire. And that account will automatically be more aggressive for you being young and less aggressive as you get near retirement. So I tell people, if you don't have any idea what to do, that's a simple way of doing it. If you have an advisor, sometimes we'll sit down and still tell you, do the target. Now, sometimes I'll tell you to have your lump sum target one thing and your monthly target another thing, because you can be more aggressive, more conservative. But the bottom line is what that does is give you that diversification. All right. Then that money is going across mutual funds or managed accounts, ETFs, things like that. So what does that mean? Well, professional money management is what is behind the things that you're putting your money in. And these are the Wall Streets that do the analysts. They analyze stocks and bonds and companies, and they do that stuff. And then they deploy your cash along with other people, and that's how those accounts are, mutual funds. All right, exchange traded funds. That's the way to do it. What are funds? People are funding. That's how that works. And then the asset allocation comes in. That's where you go from stocks, bonds, and cash, maybe some annuities when you get older. We look at tax planning. What is tax planning? Tax planning is your income. How can we reduce your current income tax? How can we reduce your tax when you withdraw money? When you withdraw money, we've got capital gains. Some of them are capital gains. So we have your account sitting in things that are taxed, but maybe they're taxed as a capital gain more than they are ordinary income, which is a lesser tax. They are in traditional retirement accounts, which would be ordinary income, or they might be in a Roth account. They might be in an annuity that tax defers. So there's all these different things. You got different retirement accounts. You got 403Bs, 401Ks, all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is that if you work for a company, chances are you'll have that. That's where you pick those targets. We can go then, if we are young, we have young children, we want to set aside college funds. You got 529s, which allow you to put money aside and move it from one child to the next, depending on if one got a scholarship. You can do that. Most of those you can open for very little money and add to whatever you want to do. It gets tax-free growth for use for college. Back in the days when my kids were little, we had UTMAs and UGMAs. And UTMA is a account that transfers to the child at 21, and UGMA was at 18. Tennessee is a UTMA state, and you get tax benefits basically where you can be put money away, and they can use it for things other than just a college and stuff like that. So we've got that. We're moving along on the offense. We have annuities. Annuities provide two things. There's different types. You've got some that have guarantees, principal, called an indexed annuity or a fixed annuity. You have annuities that have partial guarantees. Those partial guarantees, maybe they have a 20% downside protection over a period of years, or maybe they provide a lifetime income guarantee. But here's what annuities do. They do two things. One, they give you tax deferral. So it'll be another way for you to put money away over and above monies that you've done in your retirement. You got extra cash. You're going to do that. They also give lifetime income guarantees. So we buy annuities to offset the risk of living too long and running out of money. So now what we're doing is we're moving through the offense. So we're putting all this together in this final segment. I'll be talking about all the different places you can put your money. My name is Roy Matlock Jr., and we're talking money. Visit roymatlockjr.com. One more segment. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Roy Matlock Jr. Money and Business Hours, where he'll help you fix your finances once and for all. To reach Roy, call 615-843-2999. That is 615-843-2999, or visit roymatlockjr.com. Now, here's your host, Roy.
All right, we are back to the basics. Starting the new year out, getting your finances fixed, automating your financial independence. That's what we've been talking about. It's the defense to start, the offense, getting on track to where you're waking up every day and you don't worry about it. We're just going to take that off the plate. Let's take this worry and everything off the plate. And even if you're behind, wouldn't it be better to know where you're at? And that's where we do reviews. If you'd like to do a 30-minute phone call, 30-minute phone call, go to roymatlockjr.com. You can do that, and it'll give you a lot of ways you can download stuff like that. And then we'll put you with one of our advisors and get you moving in the right direction. At the very minimum, you'll find out where you're at. And so then we're moving along. We've been talking about offense, pay yourself first, compound interest, time and consistency, diversification, where we're going to invest it, tax planning, taking advantage of all those kind of things, deductions, when it comes to your retirement plans and college plans, annuities, and now we're looking at income planning. So what we're doing now, we're moving toward what I call, we're moving through the life cycle. So we started out, we were young, we had nothing. Hopefully you got a plan started if you're young right now. I love working with young people because you got so much time ahead of you. You can go put your money aside. I remember in 1985, I opened up my first mutual fund, put $50 a month in, and I was like, man, I was so excited. And then when I started seeing it, then from there, I bumped it to 100. And then I would get on the phone and call my clients and I'll say, hey man, you realize if you bump this an extra $50 a month over the next 30 years, here's what this is what it's going to do. You want to bump it? And they're like, yeah. And it's the only product that I've ever been around where people want to always do more. All right. And I would ask people this question, and you ask yourself this question: are you saving all the money you want to save? And everybody says, no, man, I'd like to save more money. That's it. So what we do is give you an easy way to save more money. Right on my phone right now, I have an account. I call it Opportunity Money. And Opportunity Money is money that is taxable, it's liquid, it's invested. But if an opportunity came along, I could turn it into cash almost instantly. And that Opportunity Money, the cool part about Opportunity Money is right on my phone, I can log into an Amazon account, or I can log into one of the fund groups that I've got in my Opportunity Money, and I can spend it on Amazon, or I can say, now I'll stick $50 or $100, whatever it is, into my Opportunity account. I would meet with people and on the appointments, and I would show them. I said, look, it's a decision. You can spend it or save it. All right. And so I would show them on an appointment. Here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to put $20 a month in my Opportunity account. And then what happened would be I'd pull my account out, open up on my phone, and within just a few, maybe 30 seconds, I'd put $20 in. And I started teaching people that. The cool part was if I had 10 appointments, I was throwing 10 times 20 in there because I showed it every time. So I was automatically saving money just by having appointments with people. And then you have a draft, and that's the Opportunity Money. So you put yourself in a position where it's easy. If it's easy to save money, you'll do it. If it's hard to save money, you won't do it. So I always encourage people to open up an account for their kids in a fund. And then when you go to the bank and you teach your kids how to have a checking account or something like that, you tie the checking account to their investment account so they can put money in it. All right, so now they work and they put money in it. I can tell you so many great stories about 16-year-olds that had their account set up, they saved their Wendy's money, and then they're 30 years old and they've got enough money to buy a house and have money left over, but they've been in the habit. And so I believe in that. But anyway, then we go to income planning. Income planning goes back to your FIN number, which 20 times your income means that if the account were to get zero for 20 years and you pull 5% out, you would have no money in 20 years. So if we get a little bit of return on your money during that period of time, then that's usually a good rule of thumb if you want to pull 4% out or 5%, something like that. And then you use annuities in the income planning to put some bottom lines on it. So what an annuity does is an annuity will allow you to put money in. The account has principal protection, and it's tied to some type of upside cap. Maybe it's tied to the stock market. So let's say that you have a 8-point cap and 100% participation. That would mean that if you put in $100,000, the market goes up 8% or more, you get 8. If it goes down, you get 0. And then one day you can convert that to a lifetime income guarantee. You say, I want to get a lifetime income guarantee. How much can I get? And they say, well, you're 70 years old and you can get 7% for life. And then what happens is the market's going up, the market's going down, and you may be depleting going into your principal. But even if you go into your principal because the markets didn't do well and you're pulling money out, it will give you a guaranteed lifetime income even if there's no money left. So it'll do that. So it allows you to pull an annuity, allows you to pull more money out and guarantee yourself a lifetime income. So what we generally do with people when they retire, we say, let's look at your Social Security and let's look at taking a portion of your money and lock it in some lifetime income guarantees. We take the other portion and we put it into things that can grow, that later down the line, what you'll be able to do is pull on it to offset inflation. So that's kind of income planning. We try to make decisions. Do we want to convert Roth IRAs? Would that be a good thing for you? How do we defer the RMDs? That's required minimum distribution as long as we can. How can we live and keep our income down to where our Social Security is not taxed? All right, even though we have the cash flow. So there's all this income planning that goes into you've made it. You're out there retired now. How are we going about doing it? You know, people ask me all the time, when should I draw Social Security? I have a lot of opinions on it, but generally speaking, full Social Security age, I'm almost always telling people, even if you're working, go ahead and draw it. I've yet to see the math on waiting to 70. All right, that kind of deal. I've yet to see the math work. All right, so I think in terms of, hey, what if you're healthy? I still don't see the math working. But if you're unhealthy, the math never works. And there's actually people that waited to 70 to draw Social Security after paying in their entire life, and they died and never received the Social Security. So there's stuff like that that goes into, income planning. So when we meet with someone, we look at your income sources and where's the money coming from? Where's the best place to use that money early on, later in retirement, that kind of thing. We put some buckets together. And so we'll kind of finish up here with a little bit of buckets. And I say buckets, it's not really, we talk about buckets, but it's more, we've got retirement plans that are deductible. We got retirement plans that are tax-free. That would be Roths. I have people ask me, should I do a Roth 401k or a traditional 401k? I kind of look at it in rule of thumb is the younger you are, a Roth may make sense. The older you are, probably, unless you're way ahead of the curve, chances are if your income's going down when you retire, you might be better off deducting it. But again, we have to look at everything. So then what we do is we've got our deductible, we got our opportunity money that is taxed yearly, liquid. We have our tax deductible account, which is tax deferred. We have Roths, which are tax free. If you have an insurance policy, like an indexed life insurance policy, which has got a lot of benefits to it, it is tax free when you pull it out, and there's no penalties. All right, prior to 59 and a half. So that's another place that you can put money to draw an income stream. So now we're building income streams out there. Maybe you're in the rental business and you have a rental property over here, or maybe you have a business that you own that pays you income that you can back out of, or maybe you're going to sell it. And there's reasons to, make prior to selling a business. We can help you with that to where you can do a better job on your taxation, that kind of thing. So there's all these different things, but that goes into income planning. We have annuities, which we can have annuities for what I call inheritance money. So we can throw money in today. It can compound for 15, 20 years while you're alive, and that money would then tax defer the whole time. So I can go on and on about the different places that you have your income streams coming in. And then we go in to the product marketplace. So where do we go? We go to, on the defense side, we go into and we look at what's defense. That's term life insurance. We would look at your income prior to, how long are you going to be working? And we would look at finding something to replace your income, maybe pay your home off, that kind of thing. There's a couple ways you can look at it. One rule of thumb is on minimal coverage. We just add a zero to your income, and that kind of gives you a good idea of how you could buy life insurance. We would recommend term insurance, generally 20 or 25 years or less, getting you out to retirement age. We've got other insurance, which is like these index policies. Index Universal Life, I think, is a great product for a supplemental retirement that can give you some permanent life insurance. So we do that. We on the defense side, we have fixed and indexed annuities. So we do those kind of things. And we look in the offense side, you've got mutual funds, which are for small investors getting started. Then you can move into a fiduciary account. A fiduciary account is where you say, for instance, I tell people it's like having an Amazon account, except it's on investments. We at my firm, I clear through Fidelity. All right, and Fidelity is a big marketplace, and you have your Fidelity account, and then we go look out on the marketplace, and we say, what do we want, okay, to fit? We do the same thing with insurance, and so, that's the full Monte when it comes to your money. And if you want more information or would like to schedule a time for a short phone call, visit roymatlockjr.com, and we will see you and hear from us next week. Thank you.